Washington DOL practice test. Flashcard 1. When it is raining or the road is wet, you should reduce your speed to avoid a tailgating B traction with the surface C wear and tear D hydroplaning. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is hydroplaning when it is raining or the road is wet. As you go faster, your tires will start to ride up on the water like water skis because of low traction with the road. This condition is called hydroplaning. To avoid this condition, drive slower than 35 mph on wet roads. Flashcard 2. You are driving on a 2-lane roadway. A school bus with flashing red lights is stopped ahead. What must you do? A. Stop if you are traveling in the same direction as the school bus. B. Stop, no matter which direction you are traveling in. C. Slow to 15 mph and proceed with caution. D. Proceed with caution. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is stop, no matter which direction you are traveling in. Under Washington state law, if you approach a school bus that is stopped with its red lights flashing on a 2-lane road, you must stop before reaching the bus, whether it is on your side of the road, on the opposite side of the road, or at an intersection you're approaching. You must remain stopped until the flashing red lights are turned off or the bus resumes its motion. The Washington Driver Guide recommends continuing to wait until all children have safely left the roadway before you proceed. Flashcard 3. If a tire suddenly goes flat or blows out, you should not slowly ease your foot off the gas pedal. B. Brake hard. C. Hold the steering wheel tightly. D. Keep the vehicle going straight. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is brake hard. If you experience a blowout, hold the steering wheel tightly, steer straight ahead, and slowly ease your foot off the gas pedal. Don't brake hard. You might lock the wheels and lose control. Brake lightly only after the vehicle is back under your control. Pull completely off the road at the nearest safe location. Flashcard 4. If an oncoming vehicle has its high beam headlights on, you should look toward the left edge of the road. B. The right edge of the road. C. The driver of the oncoming vehicle. D. The center of the road. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the right edge of the road. The high beams of an oncoming vehicle can be blinding. To avoid being temporarily blinded, slow down, keep right, look away from the oncoming vehicle, and look toward the right edge of the road to stay on course until the vehicle has passed by. Flashcard 5. In Washington state, which occupants of a passenger car must wear safety belts or appropriate child restraints? A. The driver and all passengers. B. The driver, all front seat passengers and all passengers under 18. C. Just the driver. D. The driver and passengers under 18. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the driver and all passengers under Washington state law. All occupants of a passenger car, the driver and all passengers must wear safety belts or appropriate child restraints. The driver is responsible for ensuring that all passengers under 16 years of age are suitably restrained. Safety belts have been proven to save lives even in the rear seat. Flashcard 6. On some roadways, lanes marked as transit are reserved for bicycles only. B. High occupancy vehicles. Havs only. C. Trucks only. D. Buses only. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is buses only. On various roadways, one or more lanes may be reserved for special vehicles. Reserved lanes are marked by signs stating that the lane is reserved for special use, and they often have a white diamond posted at the side of the road or painted on the pavement surface. Transit or bus means that the lane is for bus use only. Flashcard 7. At an intersection, if you see a pedestrian using a guide dog or other service animal or carrying a white cane, you must use your horn to alert the pedestrian. B. Switch on your headlights to alert the pedestrian. C. Reduce your speed and pass slowly. D. Stop your vehicle. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is stop your vehicle. A pedestrian using a guide dog or other service animal or carrying a white cane is blind or visually impaired. Use extreme caution around such pedestrians. Under Washington state law, you must not enter a crosswalk in which a blind pedestrian is crossing the roadway, and you must do whatever is necessary to avoid injuring the pedestrian or the service animal. Don't use your horn because it could confuse or frighten the blind pedestrian or the service animal. Flashcard 8. In Washington state, the maximum speed limit on state highways is blank unless otherwise posted. A. 40B, 50C, 55D, 60. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 60 mph in Washington state. The maximum speed limit on state highways is 60 mph unless otherwise posted. The maximum speed limit on some rural interstate highways is 70 mph. Flashcard 9. To hold the steering wheel, especially in turns, you should keep your left hand between 8 and 9 o'clock and your right hand between 3 and 4 o'clock. Be your left hand between 9 and 10 o'clock and your right hand between 3 and 4 o'clock. See your left hand between 10 and 11 o'clock and your right hand between 1 and 2 o'clock. Do your left hand between 9 and 10 o'clock and your right hand between 5 and 6 o'clock. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is your left hand between 8 and 9 o'clock and your right hand between 3 and 4 o'clock. Keeping your hands on opposite sides of the steering wheel facilitates quick turns. When driving a modern vehicle equipped with airbags, place your left hand between 8 and 9 o'clock and your right hand between 3 and 4 o'clock. If your hands are higher than that when the driver's side airbag deploys, it could shove your hands into your face or even injure your hands. This position also allows you to make turns without taking your hands off the wheel. Flashcard 10. At a speed of 55 mph, you need about blank to pass another vehicle at 2 seconds, B 5 seconds, C 7 seconds, D 10 seconds. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 10 seconds at a speed of 55 mph. You need about 10 seconds to pass another vehicle. This means you need a 10-second gap in oncoming traffic and sight distance to pass. At 55 mph, your vehicle will travel about 807 feet in 10 seconds. So will an oncoming vehicle that is also traveling at 55 mph. Therefore, to pass safely without risking a collision with the oncoming vehicle, you will need over 1,600 feet of empty roadway ahead of you, about 3/10 of a mile. It is hard to judge the speed of oncoming vehicles at this distance. Flashcard 11. In Washington state, you can be arrested for driving with a blood alcohol content BC of blank or above. A. 0.02% B, 0.08% C, 0.04% D, 0.06%. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 0.08% in Washington state. If you are found to be driving with a blood alcohol content BC of 0.08% or more, you can be arrested and charged with driving under the influence DUI. If you are under 21 years of age, you can also be arrested for a BC of 0.02% or more. Flashcard 12. To maintain a safe following distance behind the vehicle ahead of you, the Washington Driver Guide recommends that you use blank at speeds over 30 mph. The 4-second rule, B the 1-second rule, C the 2-second rule, D the 3-second rule. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the 4-second rule to maintain a safe following distance behind the vehicle ahead of you. The Washington Driver Guide recommends that you use the 4-second rule at speeds over 30 mph. That is, leave at least 4 seconds of following distance behind the vehicle ahead of you. At speeds of 30 mph or less, a 3-second following distance may be sufficient. Under more hazardous driving conditions, you should increase your following distance even more. Flashcard 13. You have parked next to a curb facing uphill. Which way should you point your front wheels? A. Parallel to the curb. B. Toward the curb C. Toward the right D. Away from the curb. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is away from the curb. When you parallel park facing uphill next to a curb, you should point your wheels away from the curb and then roll back slightly so that the rear part of the curbside front wheel rests against the curb. If your brakes fail, the curb will block your car from rolling backward. Make sure you still set your parking brake and leave your car in the correct gear. Park for an automatic transmission or first gear for maximum forward torque with a manual transmission. Flashcard 14 blank. Mark the left edge of one-way roads and separate opposing lanes of traffic on two-way roads. A. Solid white lines. B. Solid yellow lines. C. Dashed yellow lines. D. Dashed white lines. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is solid yellow lines. Solid yellow lines mark the left edge of one-way roads and divided highways and separate opposing lanes of traffic on two-way roads. Flashcard 15. You must not follow a fire truck closer than blank when it is responding to a fire alarm. A. 500 feet. B. 300 feet. C. 400 feet. D. 200 feet. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 500 feet. In Washington state, it is illegal to follow a fire truck closer than 500 feet when it is responding to a fire alarm. Also, you must not stop your vehicle within 500 feet of a stopped fire truck that is responding to a fire alarm. Flashcard 16. When you parallel park in Washington state, you must park within blank of the curb. A. 12 inches. B. 18 inches. C. 6 inches. D. 24 inches. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 12 inches. Under Washington state law, when you parallel park, you must park within 12 inches of the curb. Flashcard 17. In Washington state at night, you must use blank whenever you're following another vehicle within 300 feet. A low beams. B. High beams. C. Emergency flashers. D. Parking lights. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is low beams. Under Washington state law, you must dim your headlights to low beam whenever you're within 500 feet of an oncoming vehicle or within 300 feet of a vehicle you are following. High beams can blind the driver of the vehicle you are following by reflecting off the vehicle's mirrors. Flashcard 18. If traffic from another roadway is merging onto the roadway you are traveling on, you must change lanes immediately. B. Adjust your speed and vehicle position to allow the traffic to merge. C. Ignore the merging traffic because you have the right of way. D. Sound your horn to let the merging traffic know you are there. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is adjust your speed and vehicle position to allow the traffic to merge. If traffic from another roadway is merging onto the roadway you are traveling on, adjust your speed and vehicle position to allow the traffic to merge safely. Flashcard 19. A red light with a green arrow means you must stop and wait until it turns yellow. B. You must stop and then proceed slowly, yielding to pedestrians and vehicles already in the intersection. C. You must stop at the signal, yielding to pedestrians. D. You may go cautiously in the direction of the arrow, yielding to pedestrians and vehicles already in the intersection. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is you may go cautiously in the direction of the arrow, yielding to pedestrians and vehicles already in the intersection. A red light with a green arrow means you may go cautiously in the direction of the arrow. This is a protected turn. Oncoming traffic is stopped at a red light while the green arrow is lit for you. However, you must still yield to pedestrians and vehicles that are already in the intersection. Flashcard 20. The driver of a car being passed should blank until the pass is complete. A move to the left. B. Stop. C. Not increase speed. D. Increase speed. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is not increase speed. The driver of a car being passed should not change lanes or increase speed until the pass is complete. Flashcard 21. When overtaking or passing a bicycle, you should allow at least blank of space between your vehicle and the bicycle. A. 5 feet. B. 7 feet C, 3 feet D, 10 feet. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 3 feet. Be alert for bicyclists along the roadway because bicyclists are often difficult to see. Extra caution is necessary. When you pass a bicycle, Washington state law requires you to pass at a safe distance to clearly avoid coming into contact with the bicyclist. The Washington Driver Guide recommends leaving at least 3 feet of space between your vehicle and the bicycle. Note, the laws in some other states require 3, 4, or even 6 feet of space under certain conditions. Flashcard 22. A center lane that is marked on each side by a solid yellow line and a dashed yellow line is reserved for blank and can be used by vehicles traveling in either direction. A passing B, left turn C, right turns D, all of the above. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is left turns. A two-way left turn lane, also known as a shared center turn lane, is reserved for making left turns and U-turns where permitted and can be used by vehicles traveling in either direction. In Washington state, vehicles may also turn left into this lane from another road. The lane is marked on each side by a solid yellow line and a dashed yellow line. This lane must never be used for passing or through traffic. In Washington state, you may not drive farther than 300 feet in this lane. Use this lane with caution because vehicles traveling in the opposite direction may also be using it. Flashcard 23. Which of the following rules about turning is false? A. When making turns, go from one lane to the other as directly as possible without crossing lane lines. B. Where there are no signs to control turning, you must turn into the lane farthest from the one you came from. C. When making a right turn, avoid swinging wide to the left. D. When making a left turn, avoid cutting the corner sharply. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is, where there are no signs to control turning, you must turn into the lane farthest from the one you came from. Where there are no signs or lane markings to control turning, you should turn from the lane that is closest to the direction in which you want to go and turn into the lane closest to the one you came from. This way, you will cross the fewest lanes of traffic. Flashcard 24. Which of the following are signs of road rage? A. Tailgating. B. Forcing a car off the road. C. Blowing the horn excessively. D. All of the above. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is all of the above. Cutting off or swerving in front of other vehicles are signs of road rage. Sounding the horn excessively, forcing a car off the road, and tailgating are also associated with road rage. Flashcard 25. The hand and arm bent at 90 degrees and pointing downward indicate the driver's intention to go straight. B. Make a right turn. C. Make a left turn. D. Slow down or stop. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is slow down or stop. You must use hand signals if your vehicle's turn signals have failed. To indicate a right turn, the hand and arm are bent at 90 degrees and pointing upward. To indicate a left turn, the hand and arm are extended leftward. To slow down or stop, the hand and arm are bent at 90 degrees and pointing downward. Flashcard 26. If a truck is trying to pass you, you can help the truck driver by keeping to the far side of your lane and reducing your speed slightly. B. Increasing your speed. C. Keeping to the near side of your lane and reducing your speed slightly. D. Reducing your speed and driving in a no zone. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is keeping to the far side of your lane and reducing your speed slightly. If a truck is trying to pass you, you can help the truck driver pass by keeping to the far side of your lane and reducing your speed slightly. Never speed up when a vehicle is trying to pass you. Avoid driving in a large vehicle's no zones whenever possible. Flashcard 27. Before you enter an intersection, you must look for crossing pedestrians. B. Vehicles approaching from the left. C. Vehicles approaching from the right. D. All of the above. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is all of the above. Before entering an intersection, Look both left and right for approaching vehicles and crossing pedestrians. If you are stopped, look both left and right just before you start to move. Also look across the intersection to make sure that your way is clear through the intersection. Flashcard 28. When you are following a vehicle that makes frequent stops, you should allow than usual a less space on your right, b more space on your left, c a greater following distance, d a smaller following distance. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a greater following distance. Vehicles such as buses and post office vans make frequent stops. And every stop represents a hazard. When following one of these vehicles, you should maintain a greater following distance than usual. Flashcard 29 blank means that passing is not allowed in either direction. A. One dashed yellow line and one solid yellow line. B. A dashed yellow line. C. Two solid yellow lines. D. A dashed white line. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is two solid yellow lines. Two solid yellow lines mean that passing is not allowed on either side of the lines. You may cross the lines only to make a left turn. Flashcard 30. A steady red arrow signal means that you must never go in the direction of the arrow. B. You can turn in the direction of the arrow after you yield to pedestrians and approaching vehicles. C. You must come to a full stop and then proceed when it is legal and safe to do so. D. You can turn in the direction of the arrow immediately. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is you must come to a full stop and then proceed when it is legal and safe to do so. A red arrow means you must stop and you cannot go in the direction of the arrow. You may proceed when the red arrow goes out and a green arrow or light goes on. If you are turning right, you may turn after coming to a full stop if it is safe and if there is no sign prohibiting the turn on a red arrow. You may also turn left onto a one-way street with traffic moving left after coming to a full stop if there is no sign prohibiting turns on a red arrow when it is safe to do so. Flashcard 31. Which of the following statements about driving on highways is true? A. Where there are 3 or more lanes going in the same direction, the right lane offers the smoothest flow of traffic. B. Slower vehicles should use the left lane, and faster vehicles should use the right lane. C. Slower vehicles should use the right lane, and faster vehicles should use the left lane. D. Faster vehicles must enter the highway through a deceleration lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is slower vehicles should use the right lane, and faster vehicles should use the left lane. Where there are 3 or more lanes going in the same direction, the middle lanes usually offer the smoothest flow of traffic. The left lane is for passing. Slower vehicles and those exiting the highway should normally use the right lane. Flashcard 32. Which of the following statements about roundabouts is false? A. Always enter the roundabout to the left and proceed on the left side of the central island. B. Don't try to pass bicyclists within the roundabout. C. Yield to vehicles and bicyclists within the circulating roadway. D. Put on your right turn signal to tell drivers that you intend to exit. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is always enter the roundabout to the left and proceed on the left side of the central island. When approaching a roundabout, yield to vehicles and bicyclists within the circulating roadway. Look to your left to see if there is an appropriate gap in traffic. If not, you may need to stop until an appropriate gap becomes available. Always enter the roundabout to the right and proceed on the right side of the central island. Flashcard 33. A single dashed yellow line usually marks the center line of a two-way roadway where a vehicle may pass if it is safe. B. A vehicle may not pass. C. A vehicle is allowed to park. D. A vehicle may make a U-turn. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a vehicle may pass if it is safe. A single dashed yellow line usually marks the center line of a two-way roadway on which a vehicle may pass if it is safe. Flashcard 34. You must come to a complete stop in all of the following situations except A. When you meet a flashing red traffic signal, B. When you meet a stop sign, C. When you meet a steady red traffic signal, D. When you meet a flashing yellow traffic signal. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is when you meet a flashing yellow traffic signal. A flashing yellow light means that you should slow down and proceed with caution. Flashing yellow lights are positioned at relatively hazardous locations. Flashcard 35. On a road with 3 or more lanes traveling in the same direction, the leftmost lane is intended to be used by slower vehicles, B. by heavy trucks, C. for passing slower vehicles, D. for stopping in an emergency. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is for passing slower vehicles. On multi-lane roads, the leftmost lane should be used for passing slower vehicles. If you pass on the right, the other driver may have difficulty seeing you and might suddenly change lanes in front of you. Flashcard 36. When you approach a roundabout, always enter to the blank of the central island, a corner, B. right, C. center, D. left. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is right. A roundabout is a circular intersection in which traffic circulates counterclockwise around a central island. Approaching vehicles must yield to the traffic in the circle. Always enter to the right of the central island. Flashcard 37. If you are driving down a steep downgrade, you should A. remove your seatbelt, B. shift into a lower gear, C. turn on your headlights, D. keep applying the brakes. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is shift into a lower gear. If you keep applying the brakes to control your speed on a steep descent, the brakes may lose their effectiveness. Instead, release the gas pedal and shift into a lower gear, even with an automatic transmission. This will generate a braking effect to slow the vehicle, known as engine braking. The lower the gear, the greater the engine braking effect. Apply the brakes only when engine braking is insufficient or you want to stop. Flashcard 38. On one-way roads, solid yellow lines are used as a stop lines, B. right edge lines, C. center lines, D. left edge lines. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is left edge lines. On one-way roads and divided highways, solid yellow lines are used as left edge lines, and solid white lines are used as right edge lines. Flashcard 39. If it looks like a collision may happen, you should immediately A. slow down or stop, B. speed up, C. turn away, D. do any of the above. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is do any of the above. To avoid a collision or at least reduce its severity, you have 3 options to choose from, depending on the situation: slow down or stop, turn away, or even speed up. Flashcard 40. If 2 vehicles approaching from opposite directions each reach a stop sign at about the same time, then A. the vehicle turning right must yield to the vehicle turning left, B. the vehicle with more passengers must go first, C. the vehicle going straight must yield to the vehicle turning left, D. the vehicle turning left must yield to the vehicle going straight or turning right. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the vehicle turning left must yield to the vehicle going straight or turning right. If vehicles approaching from opposite directions each reach a stop sign at about the same time, the vehicle turning left must yield to the vehicle going straight or turning right. Flashcard 41. Opposing lanes of traffic are separated by A. black lines, B. yellow lines, C. white lines, D. red lines. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is yellow lines. Opposing lanes of traffic are separated by yellow lines. White lines separate lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. Flashcard 42. When you exit a high-speed, 2-lane roadway, blank if you have traffic following you, A. brake hard and keep the steering steady, B. try not to slow down suddenly, C. try to slow down as soon as possible, D. increase your speed. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is try not to slow down suddenly when you turn off a high-speed, 2-lane roadway. Try not to slow down suddenly or you might get rear-ended by the vehicle behind you. Use your turn signals to let other drivers know your intentions. Tap your brakes and reduce your speed quickly but safely. Flashcard 43. If you are having vehicle trouble at night and need to pull over, you should turn on your parking lights, be your interior lights, see your headlights, and emergency flashers, do your headlights. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is your headlights and emergency flashers. If you are having vehicle trouble at night and need to pull over, use extreme caution. You risk being hit from the rear. To communicate your presence to other motorists, the Washington Driver Guide recommends turning on your emergency flashers, hazard lights, and low-beam headlights. If you have emergency flares or warning triangles, place them behind your vehicle as an additional warning to other motorists. Flashcard 44. In Washington state, on a highway with 3 or more lanes going in one direction, faster vehicles should use A, middle lane, B, the right lane, C, the left lane, D, an acceleration lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a middle lane. Where there are 3 or more lanes going in one direction, the middle lanes usually offer the smoothest flow of traffic. Washington state law reserves the left lane for passing. Slower vehicles and those turning right should use the right lane. Flashcard 45. On a highway with 3 lanes in each direction, a vehicle towing a trailer keeps right because A, moves slower than other vehicles, B, of lack of visibility, C, of the high speed of the vehicle, D, a no zone exists behind this vehicle. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is it moves slower than other vehicles. On a highway with at least 3 lanes in each direction, the rightmost lane is for vehicles that are entering or exiting the highway and vehicles that are traveling slowly. The leftmost lane is intended as a passing lane. Slower vehicles should always use the rightmost lane. Flashcard 46. A blank indicates the outer edge of a roadway, and it may be crossed only by traffic moving to or from the shoulder. A dashed white line, B, solid white line, C, dashed yellow line, D, solid yellow line. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is solid white line. The right edges of many roadways are marked with a solid white line. This line indicates the outer edge of the roadway, and it may be crossed only by traffic moving to or from the shoulder. The left edge is marked with a yellow line. Flashcard 47. In a skid, the most important vehicle control device is the headlights, B, the accelerator, C, the anti-lock braking system, ABS. D, the steering wheel. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is the steering wheel. If you start to skid, stay calm, ease your foot off the gas pedal, and carefully steer in the direction in which you want the front of your vehicle to go. Avoid braking, especially if your vehicle is not equipped with anti-lock brakes, ABS. Your vehicle may overshoot and start to skid in the opposite direction. To prevent this from happening, turn the steering wheel the other way as soon as your vehicle starts to straighten out. Once the vehicle is back under your control, straighten the wheels. Flashcard 48. Before reaching the crest of a hill or entering a curve, you should blink and watch for oncoming vehicles. A, speed up, turn on your headlights, B, slow down, move to the right side of the road, C, slow down, move to the left side of the road, D, speed up, shift gears. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is slow down. Move to the right side of the road. Hills and curves on rural roads are often steeper and sharper than on highways. Before reaching the crest of a hill or entering a curve, slow down, move to the right side of the road, and watch for oncoming vehicles. Flashcard 49. THC is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. In Washington state, a driver who is at least 21 years old can be arrested for driving with a THC level of blank nanograms per milliliter of blood or higher, B. 5.0 C. 3.0 2.0 A. 4.0. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 5.0 tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. In Washington state, A driver can be arrested for driving under the influence DUI if he or she is found to be driving with a THC level of 5.0 nanograms per milliliter of blood or higher. A driver under 21 years of age can also be arrested for driving with a THC level greater than 0, but less than 5.0 nanograms per milliliter of blood. Flashcard 50. Smoking marijuana has been shown to impair one's driving abilities for up to A. 2 hours B. 5 hours C. 4 hours D. 3 hours. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 5 hours. Smoking marijuana has been shown to impair performance on driving tasks and on driving courses for up to 5 hours. Flashcard 51. It takes an average person's body about blank to get rid of the alcohol in one typical alcoholic drink: a 30 minutes B, 2 hours C, 1 hour D, 3 hours. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 1 hour. Your liver breaks down alcohol at a predictable rate. Typically, this is 1 standard drink per hour, where 1 standard drink equals 1.5 ounces of 80 proof liquor, 5 ounces of wine, or 12 ounces of beer. Neither black coffee nor exercise nor a cold shower can increase that rate. Flashcard 52. If a driver behind you repeatedly flashes his or her headlights, you should switch on your high beam headlights. B. Switch on your low beam headlights. C. Get out of the way. D. Increase your speed and move ahead. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is get out of the way. Aggressive driving is the operation of a motor vehicle in a manner that endangers or is likely to endanger persons or property. If the driver behind you repeatedly flashes his or her headlights, don't retaliate or engage the driver in any way. Instead, get out of the way. Flashcard 53. On a two-way roadway with a center lane, drivers from either direction can blank from the center lane to pass other vehicles. B. Make right turns. C. Make left turns. D. Make frequent stops. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is make left turns. A two-way left turn lane, also known as a shared center turn lane, is reserved for making left turns, and U-turns were permitted and can be used by vehicles traveling in either direction. In Washington state, vehicles may also turn left into this lane from another road. The lane is marked on each side by a solid yellow line and a dashed yellow line. This lane must never be used for passing or through traffic. In Washington state, you may not drive farther than 300 feet in this lane. Use this lane with caution because vehicles traveling in the opposite direction may also be using it. Flashcard 54. Rumble strips use vibration and sound to alert drowsy or inattentive drivers that they are approaching a school zone. B. Approaching a parking lot or playground. C. Approaching a freeway. D. Approaching a stop sign or signal. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is approaching a stop sign or signal. Rumble strips are a series of indented elements installed on a paved roadway shoulder near the travel lane, on a two-lane roadway near the center line, or in a lane of traffic approaching a stop sign or signal. Rumble strips are intended to alert drowsy or inattentive drivers through vibration and sound that their vehicles have left the travel lane or are approaching a stop sign or signal. Flashcard 55. THC is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. In Washington state, a driver under 21 years of age may not drive with a THC level greater than blank nanograms per milliliter of blood. A. 3.0 BSC. 4.0 D. 2.0. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. In Washington state, it is illegal for a driver under 21 years of age to drive with any detectable amount of THC in his or her blood. Flashcard 56. To enter a roundabout, you must blank whether you need to make a right turn, a left turn, or a U-turn or continue forward. Turn left and merge into traffic. B. Turn left and then turn right. C. Turn left and then turn left again. D. Turn right and merge into traffic. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is turn right and merge into traffic. A roundabout is a one-way circular intersection in which vehicles travel counterclockwise around a central island. To enter a roundabout, you must turn right and yield the right-of-way to vehicles that are already in the circle. Flashcard 57. What is the correct hand signal to indicate a right turn? A. Hand and arm extended downward. B. Hand and arm extended outward. C. Hand and arm extended upward. D. Hand and arm extended backward. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is hand and arm extended upward. Be sure to make your intentions known to other drivers. Continue signaling until you are ready to make the actual turn. The correct hand signal for making a right turn is left hand and arm extended upward. Flashcard 58. You have entered an intersection. An emergency vehicle displaying flashing lights and sounding a siren is approaching. What should you do? A. Move to the right and stop in the intersection. B. Continue through the intersection, then pull over to the left and stop. C. Move to the left and stop in the intersection. D. Continue through the intersection, then pull over to the right and stop. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is continue through the intersection, then pull over to the right and stop. Never block an intersection even if an emergency vehicle is approaching. If you are in an intersection when an emergency vehicle approaches, continue through the intersection. Then pull over to the right as soon as you can and stop. Flashcard 59. If you are making a left turn, you must begin the turn in the center lane. B in the rightmost lane. C in the intersection. D in the leftmost lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is in the leftmost lane. If you are making a left turn, you must begin the turn in the leftmost lane unless signs or signals indicate otherwise. Flashcard 60. You are going to turn at an intersection and you cannot see any other vehicles around. Do you still have to signal? A. No, turn signals are optional in Washington State. B. Yes, you must signal for at least 50 feet before you turn. C. Yes, you must signal for at least 100 feet before you turn. D. No, you are only required to signal when other vehicles are present. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is yes, you must signal for at least 100 feet before you turn. Whenever you intend to turn or change lanes, communicate your intention well in advance. Under Washington state law, if you intend to turn or change lanes, you must start to signal at least 100 feet in advance. You must signal even if you don't see any other vehicles around. The vehicle you don't see could end up being the most dangerous. Also, pedestrians or other drivers could be caught off guard by a sudden turn or lane change. Flashcard 61. How long does it take for alcohol to be absorbed directly into the bloodstream? A. 2-3 hours. B. 1-2 hours. C. 20-40 minutes. D. 5-10 minutes. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 20-40 minutes. If enough alcohol is consumed, the results can progress to drowsiness, sleep, unconsciousness, and, eventually, death. Unlike most food, alcohol does not have to be digested. Once swallowed, it is absorbed directly into the bloodstream through the walls of the stomach and small intestine, usually within 20-40 minutes. If there is food in the stomach, this absorption process may be slowed. Flashcard 62. According to the Washington Driver Guide, alcohol is involved in about blank of all fatal traffic accidents. A. 20% B. 60% C. 10% D. 40%. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 40%. According to the Washington Driver Guide, alcohol is involved in about 40% of fatal traffic accidents. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, drunk driving accounts for about 1/3 of the traffic deaths in the United States. Flashcard 63. You see this flashing yellow X signal above your lane. What does it mean? A. This lane is only for making turns. B. Proceed with caution. C. You must move out of this lane as soon as possible. D. This lane is closed. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: this lane is only for making turns. Lane use control signals are special overhead signals indicating which lanes of a roadway may be used in different directions at various times. A flashing yellow X indicates that this lane can only be used to make turns. A steady yellow X warns that the lane is about to close in your direction, at which time the signal will change to a steady red X. Flashcard 64. Traffic fines are blank and work zones a double B decrease C the same D tripled. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is doubled. Traffic fines are double in the work zones and recklessly endangering workers, other motorists or property in a work zone could lead to a 60-day license suspension. Flashcard 65. You want to drive straight through this roundabout. Which lane should you use? A. Use the left lane. B. You cannot go straight here. C. Use the right lane. D. Use either the left or the right lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: use either the left or the right lane. In a two-lane roundabout or any other type of intersection, you must always follow road signs and pavement markings. Generally, you should turn left from the left lane, turn right from the right lane, and drive straight through using either lane. Always check for other vehicles before you enter or exit a roundabout or change lanes within it. Flashcard 66. You see an emergency vehicle with flashing lights stopped ahead. What must you do? A. Move into a non-adjacent lane if possible, otherwise slow down. B. Slow down. Also move into a non-adjacent lane if possible. C. Slow down and prepare to stop. D. Proceed with caution. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: move into a non-adjacent lane if possible, otherwise slow down. Under Washington State's move over law, to pass an emergency vehicle, tow truck, or other roadway assistance vehicle that is stopped with its lights flashing, you must move into a non-adjacent lane if possible, leaving at least one vacant lane between you and the vehicle. If this is impossible, no other lanes in your direction or unsafe, you must slow down until you have passed the vehicle. Flashcard 67. If an intermediate license holder commits a second traffic violation, the license will be suspended for up to A. 30 days. B. 6 months. C. 10 days. D. 1 year. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: 6 months. If an intermediate license holder commits a second traffic violation or a second violation of the restrictions on the license will be suspended for 6 months or until the driver turns 18, whichever comes first. Flashcard 68. If a driver aged 13 through 17 is convicted of possession of alcohol, a drug offense, or a firearm-related offense, his or her license will be revoked for at least blank for a second offense. A. 4 years. B. 2 years. C. 1 year. D. 3 years. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: 2 years if a driver aged 13 through 17 is convicted of possession of alcohol, a drug offense, or a firearm-related offense, and it was his or her second such offense, his or her license will be revoked for 2 years or until he or she turns 18, whichever is longer. Flashcard 69. You may pass a vehicle on the right in all of the following situations except A. On roadways with at least 2 lanes traveling in your direction. B. On one-way streets, where all lanes of traffic are moving in the same direction. C. When you are in a left turn lane. D. When the vehicle is in a left turn lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is when you are in a left turn lane. Under Washington state law, you may pass a vehicle on the right when 1. The vehicle is making or about to make a left turn, Or 2. There are 2 or more lanes of traffic going in the same direction as the vehicle. This can be the case on a multi-lane roadway or a one-way street. A left turn lane is used only for making left turns and U-turns were permitted. Flashcard 70. Unbalanced tires or low tire pressures can cause increased fuel economy. B. Faster tire wear. C. Decreased stopping distance. D. All of the above. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is faster tire wear. Worn or bald tires can increase your stopping distance and make turning more difficult when the road is wet. Unbalanced tires or low tire pressures can cause faster tire wear and reduce fuel economy and make the vehicle harder to steer and stop. Flashcard 71. To avoid last-minute braking or the need to turn suddenly, you should look at least blank ahead while driving in the city. A. 10 seconds. B. 15 seconds. C. 5 seconds. D. 20 seconds. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is 15 seconds. To avoid last-minute braking or the need to turn suddenly, you should look well down the road. The Washington Driver Guide recommends that you look at least 15 seconds ahead of your vehicle. At 60 mph on a freeway, 15 seconds is a quarter of a mile. Flashcard 72. This sign is a guide sign on an interstate highway. B. An object marker on a roadway. C. A barricade at a work zone. D. A warning sign at a work zone. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is an object marker on a roadway. This is an object marker sign, which is used to notify drivers of objects in the roadway or very close to the edge of the roadway. The stripes point downward toward the safe side of the roadway. This sign indicates that you should keep right to pass the object. Flashcard 73. In Washington state, on a highway with 3 or more lanes going in one direction, faster vehicles should use the right lane. B. A middle lane. C. The left lane. D. An acceleration lane. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is a middle lane. Where there are 3 or more lanes going in one direction, the middle lanes usually offer the smoothest flow of traffic. Washington state law reserves the left lane for passing. Slower vehicles and those turning right should use the right lane.